My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the Soul of Excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
Welcome, my friends, to the Already It's Friday again, Bo Snerdley Rush Hour. Already, it's Friday again. And, as always, Friday does not stop some of the wackiness that is in the news. And there's plenty of it out there, including a new piece of legislation that's passed the House. It will probably go down in flames in the Senate, thanks to one or two Republicans that won't stay the course. It is the SAFE Act, and Democrats are hysterical, as usual. Women are not going to be allowed. If you're a married woman, you're going to have a harder time voting before women. Women are not going to be able to vote. Women are going to be hard. And we have some of this. Cut 11. Here's just an example. This is everywhere on social media. And Hillary Rodham Clinton has added her voice to the fear-mongering. I'm not even going to pull up the story. Hillary's whining the same thing that these liberal women on social media are whining, except in different. Just listen to this.
Well, the House passed the SAVE Act, which makes it so married women can't fucking vote without a passport.
Really?
If you changed your last name, which almost all married women change their fucking last name. And now you won't be able to vote unless you have a passport. Passports cost about $160, by the way. So unless you have one, you are not going to be able to vote if you've changed your name.
Garbage!
This is just another way, to prevent trans people from voting, because most trans people
Oh, really? So it prevents trans people from voting. Like, that's a big
documents.
issue.
So,
yeah.
Highly, highly, highly recommend young women not take their husband's name legally. Do not do it. Don't do it. There's no fucking reason to anyways. It's an old, archaic thing that traditionally we do, but it doesn't mean shit. Don't do it.
All right, can I just ask somebody a question, because it's been a long time since Jones, do you have a passport?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Philip, you got a passport?
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask you guys a question. When you applied for the passport, did you have to prove you were an American citizen? Do you remember if you had to show them any documents or anything to prove you are who you are?
I don't think so. If I did, it's not in my memory where they emphasize we need to see your ID.
Well, let me refresh your memory. You can't just apply for a passport without providing documentation about who you are. Your picture, they want to know, are you an American citizen? You have to come up with a birth certificate. You have to come up with something that says you are who you are.
Right, you are correct. You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about the place that took the picture. But you're right, the post office, you need all of that, all those documents.
If you go through the post office. You gotta,
right.
So this woman is saying, gee, they're going to ask you for documents that prove you're a citizen. Use your passport. If you have a passport, you already have the documents needed to prove that you are who you are anyway. What is the big deal? And besides, all this stuff has been rebuffed time and time again. It's just more of the same. I'm telling you, liberal women are going literally insane. Cut 16. Cut 16.
So I'm pretty scared. Everyone is saying that Fat Nixon is going to declare martial law on 420. Why? Why is this happening now? But why is this now happening? Okay, bye.
And if you were a little confused, I guess some of the liberals have taken to calling Donald Trump Fat Nixon. And that's what because I was like, Nixon? Fat Nixon? Who the... Oh, it's liberals. They've lost their mind. Okay. My friends, and here's more evidence about liberal women. Cut 8. It's a very familiar voice. Cut 8. Just play it.
Well, a 90-day pause doesn't mean anything to anyone because people are, as you say, struggling with everything they're living with on a day-to-day basis. Now you know what we're fighting against. But I also believe that it's very important to remind people that now is the time for each and every one of us to suck it up and make sure that we know what we need to take care of. If you're in an area where the school district is losing, then you got to pay a little more taxes and you got to help the schools out. If you're finding that your libraries are falling apart, you have to give more.
It's whooping. It's a view. Okay, let's just deal with this woman. This pertains mostly to people in blue cities, by the way. This is not what... So if you live in an area, most likely in a blue city, where your schools are falling apart, despite the billions and billions of dollars that you already spend for your schools, then you just have to suck it up and give more. Why? Because they've already wasted the billions of dollars to create the failing schools, so give them more money so they could fail better. I mean, they're not failing enough. They've taken the billions of dollars that you sent them, and they've created failing schools. So suck it up and send in a few billion more dollars so they can fail even better than they're failing right now. You don't have to change anything. Just send them more money. Suck it up and send them more money. That's the answer. These people are actually on TV. You need a passport. Some married women are not going to be able to vote anymore. We're going to have martial law. Martial law on the 20th. If you live in an area where your schools suck, you have to suck it up and just give them more money, because that'll solve everything. Okay. Meanwhile, we have some, I'm sorry, I just find this totally amusing. There's a poll today that Democrats should be frightened of. Frightened like crazy. Because the poll shows, and I'm looking for it right now. I'm sorry, I was almost crying. These people are so funny. I'll find it during the break, but the poll shows basically that the Democrats and the Republicans are tied. when it comes to who people believe will help people the most. This is the first time since 1994 that Republicans aren't on the losing end of that poll. And in many years, they were really on the losing end of it. Right now, and it's, by the way, it's a low number. It's 33 to 33, which pretty much means a third of the citizens, or whoever the respondents are, I don't know whether they're citizens or not, a third of the people polled don't think that anybody cares, which I guess. Most shocking piece of poll data, here it is. CNN's Harry Enton rattles off a slew of good polls for Republicans. New polling found Democrats and Republicans are tied, 33 to 33% over the question of who cares most for the needs of people for the first time in 30 years, according to a post-tariff Quinnipiac poll. Now, this is not good news for Democrats. Inton said, to me, this is the most shocking pieces of poll data that I have truthfully seen this year, maybe in any prior year, because I want you to know, take a look at cares more for the needs of people like you. You mentioned we've got a tie. After all this whole tariff war has already started, a split between Democrats and Republicans about which party cares more for the needs of people like you. Keep it right here. Don't go away.
ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track. And ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
That moment when you realize your skincare is actually working. That's Rodan & Fields, the #1 female dermatologist-founded skincare brand in the U.S. Designed by 2 dermatologists who don't just know women's skin, they know how to formulate for it. Rodan & Fields, love what you see. Tap the banner or visit rodanandfields.com/Spotify to get your exclusive welcome offer.
This episode is brought to you by GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco. Get the most out of your vehicle with GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco original equipment. The only parts designed, engineered, tested, and backed by General Motors. You can find your perfect fit for most makes and models and choose from 3 tiers of parts, including GM OE or gold and silver aftermarket parts. Visit gmparts.com for more information.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
The Pentagon has fired the woman that, let's see, what's this woman's name? Colonel Susanna Mayer. She emailed, after Vice President Vance and his wife went to Greenland, Colonel Susanna Myers took it upon herself to email the base personnel. I do not presume to understand current politics, but what I do know is the concerns of the U.S. administration discussed by Vice President Vance on Friday are not reflective of the Pawtucket Space Base. She added that she had spent the weekend thinking about his visit there Friday, the actions taken, the words spoken, and how it much affect each of you. Well, Miss going to question her leadership in public Well, with an email to the troops, has now been relieved of her duties. Good. All right, we covered. I found the Hillary story, but who cares? Hillary's out mouthing about women again. It's like they don't care. You know, there are some things that are happening I missed because of all the news that was going on with the tariffs. And I found one of those stories today. And I found a story and I said, what? This happened? Why, this is awesome. You know, I read the government trades. The stuff that the government employees read. So I read those. And so from one of the government trades, here is this story. Trump administration ends union dues collection for most feds without notice. The Trump administration had apparently ceased collecting federal workers' union dues via voluntary payroll deduction at agencies targeted by a recent executive order seeking to strip employees of their collective bargaining rights. And it goes on to discuss this. Apparently, this is causing some headaches for some of these union dues. These unions that just rely on the government to enforce the collection of their dues. One of the biggest unions has already figured out that they have to do it another way. But this is just one of those stories. Beautiful moves being made every day with this administration. Anyway. Oh, and besides tariffs, President Trump is threatening Mexico with sanctions for stealing water from Texas farmers. There's that. Ah, yes, my friends, already it's Friday, and every day is just a brand new gift basket of news from this administration. Can't wait. Tomorrow, God willing, Princess Di will be with us. Can't wait to hear she was going to talk about this week. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Clorox Sentiva smells like lavender. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like...
All right, that could go on for a while. Experience the long-lasting freshness of Clorox Sentiva. Available in Clorox Sentiva Lavender-Scented Bleach. Use as directed.
Morning decisions. A creamy mocha frappuccino drink? A sweet vanilla? Maybe a smooth caramel? Or that white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Start your day with bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drinks. Pick up a bottle near you wherever you buy your groceries.
Ladies, you'll end up shopping for your guy's deodorant, right? So try Degree's Original Cool Rush. You see, last year, Degree changed the formula, and men were mad. One guy even started a petition. So Degree admitted they messed up and brought the Original Cool Rush scent back. It's clean, crisp, and actually smells like someone you want to cuddle. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So toss one in your cart and find out why it's the best-selling men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. 3 couples, 4 vacations, a lot to unpack. Watch The 4 Seasons, a new series starring comedy favorites Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Will Forte, Coleman Domingo, and more in a hilarious and heartfelt love letter to long-term relationships. Based on the original Alan Alda film. Watch The 4 Seasons, streaming now only on Netflix.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
All right, we have arrived. Folks, I've got to do this. I've got to just get to these sound bites. Every day, I get distracted by the news. Well, the news is the news. It's a battle because the sound bites are so good, but then the news is so good. Today, we're going to do some of these sound bites. Let's start with Marco. No, let's start with Senator Elizabeth Warren.
comes in and basically starts the dumbest trade war in the history of this country. This is going to be about potentially millions of people losing their jobs. It's going to be about millions of people losing their savings, many of people losing their retirement security, and at the same time taking on even higher costs for everything they buy. So that's going to push us in potentially to foreclosures or people being pushed out of their apartments. You know, I remember this from 2008 and how long it took us to dig our way out. And to this day, there are families, there are communities that still haven't recovered. Recessions can be all those fancy charts and graphs. But at the end of the day, people feel them one person at a time, and they can be devastated.
Okay, so that's a lot of the gloom and doom, and the everybody's going to be miserable, and everything is going to fall apart. The dumbest trade war in the history of our country. Let's go to 14. 14. Here's another genius, because with the another Democrat genius. This one is not the trade war; it's deportations. So let's hear her.
Realm. So I am telling you that this is a failed thing, but we've got to do better to connect the dots and let people know the reason you can't afford a home is because of these failed immigration policies. The reason you're not going to be able to afford your food is because of these failed immigration policies. And the same can go for the hospitality industries, where we have so many of those in the hospitality industry that are saying they do not have the workers that they need right now.
So the reason that you're not going to be able to afford your food is because, and your groceries, is because we're deporting people. The reason that you can't afford to buy a house is because we have deported people, and without the people here, the illegals here, you won't be able to afford to buy a house, and your groceries are going to cost too much because you will not be able to afford your groceries. And the reason is Trump is deporting people, and we can't have illegal people deported from America. That's another Democrat genius. In case you don't, yeah, that's Jasmine. And her voice should be familiar enough by now. Think of it. We've had Whoopi, we've had Elizabeth Warren, we've had Jasmine. Now, let's go back to this idea that this is the dumbest trade war in history. I want to introduce some of you to Senator Rick Scott. Used to be governor down in Florida. Now he's a senator. He's talking with Kevin O'Leary. He's from Shark Tank. And this is, remember, you hear all these people talk about the dumbest trade war in history. Listen to this.
The whole idea of today's conversation was just to get to a reciprocal playing field, a even playing field.
So, Mr. O'Leary, what if there was a company called WeatherTech? You know, and they produce really nice mats for their car.
I have them in my F-150.
And they woke up one day and they looked on Alibaba and they saw that their products were being sold on Alibaba. And they looked at their shipping, and they never had done any business with Alibaba. And they looked just like the mats that they produced in Illinois, and they even had their name on it, right? What could they do to stop this theft of their product? And they got nothing for it. What would be their recourse right now?
Call Senator Warren.
There is nothing they can do. You have just told the story of 1 million small businesses in America over the last 20 years. They innovate, they create, they're entrepreneurs, they prove their product in the American consumer market at around 5 million in sales. They're knocked off. By whom? China. Very often, the same plants that ran the molds under a relationship they had with the company. A lot of companies went to China 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and put their molds there. And during the day, the company would run the WeatherTech mat, in this example, here theoretically. And then at night, they'd run the knockoff mat. and they would bring it into the market, let me guess, 30% off retail of WeatherTech. And I've seen this happen countless times. And in some cases where the company's very small, they go out of business. And nobody hears that tree falling in the forest. It happens thousands of times. There's such an immense opportunity here to enforce existing laws. But really, at the end of the day, the reason that behemoth company couldn't do anything about it, they have no access to the Chinese courts. They can't resolve the complaint through litigation, as we do here. So my recommendation is, look, if you're a Chinese company and you want to use our courts to litigate your complaint, sorry, not until you open yours. We'd love to work with you, but unless it's a reciprocal play, the whole idea of today's conversation was just to get to a reciprocal playing field, a even playing field. American companies
now, senators like Senator Warren, they don't care about this. That's that poll that you're looking at now. Who cares for people like you, the American worker? Senator Warren, the only thing the Democrats care about is their hatred of Donald Trump. That's it. And the second thing in that, which is tied to it, is their own political power. They could care less about you. They could care less about American businesses. They could care less about the national security of America. Cut 5. Sure, Michael William brilliantly makes that point in less than 15 seconds.
If I could ask, what happens if we ever have a military conflict with China? And they say, you know what, we're going to put an embargo on anything shipping to the United States. We're going to stop everything. What happens then?
Don't you think
I think
we're looking at that
situation we would want to have friends?
Not China.
No, I'm saying...
And of course, he gets pushback. This is the usual Abby. Oh man, that thing dissolved into a unintelligible. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Okay, but you know who used to get it right? Who used to think about it right? Well, you will recognize this voice. Cut 3. You'll know who this is.
The argument is, number one, that's the biggest market in the world. Number 2 is those countries are already selling to us. I keep on pointing out there are a lot of Japanese cars here in the United States, almost no U.S. cars in Tokyo. Number 3 is that if we don't write the rules, China will write the rules out in that region. We will be shut out. American businesses, American agriculture, that will mean a loss of U.S. jobs.
Somebody needs to remind Elizabeth, as she continues to say, this is the dumbest trade war in U.S. history. Well, what's really going on isn't the dumbest trade war. Oh, you know who else used to agree with him? Cut 7, another prominent Democrat.
I tend to more agree with President Trump than I did with President Obama on Bush on trade. The whole idea of China manipulating their currency, I learned about them when I visited with Macney. I visited Crucible Steel here in Syracuse, and they were telling me back then how their steel products had an unfair advantage because China was manipulating its currency. That's how the whole issue came to the fore, because I happened to visit Crucible Steel back in 2004 or 5, sometime like that. So I hope he's really tough on China, on both North Korea, and on treating us fairly in terms of trade.
Yeah, yes, Democrats used to, some of them used to get it before TDS took over their brains. Cabinet meeting, Marco Rubio, cut 1.
Well, Mr. President, one of the most important things I believe you'll achieve in your presidency is reordering the world in a proper way. For 31 years, more than 31 years now, multiple administrations have allowed the Chinese to deindustrialize this country, to take away jobs and factories and pillars of our national strength. And what you're doing now, I think, is a great service to our country, but ultimately to the world. And I want to congratulate you and your team that's working on that, because it has extraordinary geopolitical implications, as you see from all these other countries that are now coming here and wanting to join something that actually makes it's crazy to allow these. I mean, basically, we lived in a world where Chinese companies can do whatever they want in America, but our companies cannot do anything over there unless they allow it, and even then they steal our stuff and reverse engineer it. So just reordering all of that has dramatic implications on peace and security of the world, so we thank you. An important meeting, thanks to you, is going to happen on Saturday for the first time in a long time. There'll be direct talks between Ambassador Woodcock and a top-level leader in Iran. We hope that'll lead to peace. You've been very clear what Iran is never going to have is a nuclear weapon, and I think that's what led to this meeting, and we'll wait for him to come back from it, and we're hopeful about that. I would also say that we are receiving, and I think the Department of Homeland Security can confirm this, historic cooperation from countries all over the world, number one, in taking back their citizens. Every country in the world has to take back people that are illegally in another country. And we have countries that refuse to do it or will kind of ignore our calls. All of them are doing it. The ones that are not are paying a price. And we've also found cooperation in other countries that are willing to take some of these people, some very dangerous criminals. I know the president of El Salvador will be here next week, has really been a good friend of the United States in that regard. These are some of the worst people you'll ever encounter. And Pam knows this, and Christy knows this from the work they're doing. And one last point I want to make, Mr. President, and again, it's under your leadership, it's actually under your executive order. If you come to this country as a student, we expect you to go to class and study and get a degree. If you come here to vandalize a library, take over a campus, and do all kinds of crazy things, we're going to get rid of these people, and we're going to continue to do it. So when we identify...
All right, I have one more. Thank you, Marco. Great. And that's what's really going on here. I got one more. This, my friends, I want you to listen carefully. This woman, Sarah Wynne Williams, was an executive for, then we used to call it Facebook, for Meta. And I just want you to hear this. It's self-explanatory.
My name is Sarah Wynne Williams, and I served as the Director of Global Public Policy at Facebook, now Meta, for nearly 7 years, starting in 2011. Throughout those 7 years, I saw Meta executives repeatedly undermine U.S. national security and betray American values. They did these things in secret to win favor with Beijing and build an $18 billion business in China. We are engaged in a high-stakes AI arms race against China. And during my time at Meta, company executives lied about what they were doing with the Chinese Communist Party to employees, shareholders, Congress, and the American public. I sit before this committee today to set the record straight about these illegal and dangerous activities. Meta's dishonesty started with the betrayal of core American values. Mark Zuckerberg pledged himself a free speech champion. Yet I witnessed Meta work hand in glove with the Chinese Communist Party to construct and test custom-built censorship tools that silenced and censored their critics.
James Golden and Snerdley with you. Your call's coming up.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Oh, Snerdley.
James.
Experience a progressive lens engineered with AI from Essilor, powered by individual measurements of your visual behavior. A lens personalized to you by an Essilor expert. Discover Verilux XR Track and enjoy instantly sharp vision in motion and seamless transitions from near to far. Find your local Essilor expert today at Essilor.com.
You guys, I just found the most incredible Mother's Day gift. It's called Goldbelly. Goldbelly is this amazing site where you can get the most iconic foods from restaurants all across the U.S., shipped anywhere in the country for free in time for Mother's Day. We're talking cakes from Ina Garten and Martha Stewart, Magnolia Bakery's famous banana pudding, and New York bagel brunches. Make Mother's Day perfect with Goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code MOM. That's Goldbelly.com, promo code MOM.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states, and MLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Jif peanut butter. It's that Jiffing good, it doesn't really need advertising. So instead, enjoy the calming sounds of the ocean.
Jif. Ooh, it's that jiffing good. Get your Jif at Jif.com. James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley, presents Rapid Phones.
And we start with Joseph in New York City. Joseph, how are you?
Young, cheating, hot. Let it be. God bless you, James, Trump, Jake Giles, Ben, and let's all get it done.
I say let's get it done is the right attitude. Thank you, Joseph, for that amazing commentary. Robert in Suffolk County, New York, you are up next.
Hi, James. We need to repatriate every square inch of land that China has bought in this country. Eminent domain on national security grounds. We can do it.
Well, look, they're even more than the land that China has bought, and there are already moves like that. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders has been pushing through. I think it may be in law already, where they are doing just that. They're not allowing Chinese nationals to buy especially sensitive land. But there's a report that came out today of the number of Chinese nationals that have crossed the border. Almost a Trojan horse move. I maybe have more on that tomorrow. Thank you. I appreciate your waiting. Appreciate the call. Susan, upstate New York. Good afternoon. How are you, Susan?
Hi, darling. You were talking about federal funds coming from the former federal agency for education. Well,
yes.
Those federal funds, they do not pay for any teachers, any classrooms. That's all from the state. But when the federal government gives money, they give it to failing schools, but that money comes with mandates that are very damaging to the way the schools operate. And it turns out, I researched this myself, that the better schools actually get less money per student. The worst schools get more, but are worse managed. And they also send high fructose corn syrup to the school lunch programs, which is the driver of diabetes in children.
Exactly. And on that note, we have to leave that. What Whoopi says the answer is to give them more money, Sandra. That's just so you know. To tough it out, gut it up, and send them more money so they can fail better. That's it for today, my friends. May God bless and protect each and every single one of you. Your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude always for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we are back in the morning, 7 a.m., bright and early. Hope you're there too. In the meantime, my friends, I bid you adieu. Have a great Friday night.